Hello, I am Eagle Gardens, Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is a random Tuesday night Weed Nerd World. Man, I listen to this song way too much. Hopefully you guys have had a great day. I was gonna fucking burn one and stare at the screen for a few anyway, so I thought I'd do a quick hangout. Capping this one off for 2 hours, man. Sweden, Island night. Stu Moon. Cheers. Hey Nova. Where'd I do my roller, damn it? Tips and tricks, mistakes we made, a growing ball that'll never fade. What's up, doctor? Special to the end. No, it's special to the D, ain't it? Yeah, special to the D. I don't know why I always say to the end. Cheers. Sorry. Sorry. My roller, I think it is. So cool, good, keep the love alive. Got too much shit on my desk, man. Should've took some time to clear it off. What's up, Bill Juster? Broke my college-y. Stu Mood, I miss you. I feel like I'm a peach pirate. I miss you. Forehead. Alright. Tips and tricks. Man, Stewie's a little overdue. Cheers. Cheers to that special little thing in wires I said hello to today. What's up, Fiber CC Network? Oh, I think this is some runs. I'm gonna top off this doobie will. How you doing, Mr. Carlton? Man, back to work the last few days. Man, that's just a blessing and a curse, isn't it? That's all I can say about that. I love money. I don't mind the work. Man, I fucking hate getting up that early. If I could just get construction and the trades to work around my schedule, I would be so much happier. That is for sure. Just doing some music tours here. Nice. No-till craft. Put some ISO, some RSO in there. That coffee. Always good. I've been topping mine off a lot lately with that, and very much enjoying it. Very much so. And Joel from North Star tried to pop in about an hour ago. I wish I would have caught him. Hopefully he tries again. Trying to find something for us to listen to here. And pick up on that playlist I was listening to earlier. Not this one we had here. This one. Oh, that's a message. My daughter, my grandson's feeling a lot better. That's good news. What's up, Ned Denver? Oh, you want a dab song? If you're lost and alone, don't worry, cause you're I'll do that for you, Ned Denver. And I know it's a long, long road, but we're ready to go. Dab song for Ned Denver. Found beauty in the balance in between all the highs and the lows. I personally won't be taking a dab, but I'll roll up this dude while you guys do. Cheers, Ned. That's dab songs for you. Oh, this is probably too much. but I am going to smoke it anyway. Small town reviews. How you doing? Long time, man. Still got your link, Smoking with Small Town? Or is it just Small Town Reviews now? West Coast, Maine. Mag, cheers to you. We're enjoying a random dad song in Weed Nerd World. What are you guys smoking or dabbing on tonight? I believe, this is some J5 still. Been kind of picking off the My Herbs Now machine. Clean it up one way or another, I'll get to it. Hopefully Johnny Caniseed is feeling better. Should send him a text after we get going here. Gave it up about a year ago. Still smoking like crazy. Don't make content anymore. That's fucking awesome. Man, if you got the link, you're always more than welcome. Come fucking hang out, brother. Love to see what you're up to, what you've been doing, all that. You're always welcome, man. So you know. What's up? I grew some. How are you, my friend? There we go. I was getting ready to say nobody's even putting up what they smoking on. Banana OG Perps. Sounds interesting. Make sure nobody was trying to pump in. Hopefully Johnny Caniseed is doing better. Just threw some shit on the floor. Oh, man. Yeah, work life is not too bad. It has been nice to get back to the grind the last few days. I've had more than enough time off, that's for sure. What's up, Fried Piper? Alright, now we gotta get back to some regular. We'll just listen to some blues. We'll just listen to a little bit of blues till somebody pops on, I guess. Some bubble glue. Nice. Don Carlos. Man, I haven't heard that name in a minute. What up, Bingus? Bingus and Blaze. Rascal berries times double white cheese. Interesting. Man, the babies are starting to get bigger. They're almost to their 7-leaf structure. 7-bladed structure. That curious K, nice. There you are. How you been?
I'm doing good. I'm in the Philippines right now.
Nice.
I'm visiting my wife's family.
Hi.
Wow.
And so I thought I'd pop in because this has been I've been 2 weeks without smoking.
Oh, wow.
And so
How's
it's the
that?
longest in 30 years that, I'm a little tense.
Right on.
But it would help if America wasn't going full fascist. I would be less stressed. But no, it's nice to be here.
Right on. 2 weeks, man. I don't think
I've
I've
been
done it. Hats
no, and I
off
got
to you.
2 more weeks to go, and then but it's cool. I've got seeds brewing at home, and so I'm gonna come home to some new crosses that are gonna be amazing that I can start working on. And so yeah, I'm stoked about that. It's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you as well. Well, so we're on the conversation of seeds. You can't just bring that up and not
No,
tell
no,
us
I mean I'm
what the heck's
yeah,
in the
yeah.
cooker, right? What do you got
Oh,
going?
well, yeah, I mean, I got from Cloney Soprano, um, the clone guy in New York, a bunch of stuff that I grew out over the past 3 months: the straw nana, the bubble gum, the Acapulco Gold, and the UK cheese. And so, I crossed all of those with my 3D G13 boy, and yeah, so I have all those F1s that are going to be coming, but I've decided now, instead of just, generally I would just release everything when I finished, when the seeds were ripe, but now I think it's better, I'm going to run everything and really find, know that it's stable and good, and and only release the stuff that's, even, it might sound good on paper, but like until you grow it, you never know. But I have pretty high hopes because these genetics are just so incredible. And now I'm real excited about like that straw nana 3D cross, and I mean really all of them, but like I don't, and I'm going to use them. I really want to make a bubble gum that just rocks. And so I want to take that straw nana 3D male and put it back into that Indiana bubble gum and just try to, you know, make something that's as bubble gum as my blue laser light is blueberry. I want it to really, people just, holy shit, this is what it's supposed to smell like, and just be the terps be outrageous. Because that's when I originally grew boggle gum. I mean, the seedlings smelled like Bazooka Joe. And so that's what I really want to get back to that. And then they started ruining it with like Bubba Kush and crap. And like now, I was never a big fan of Sour Bubble because it was, it's a great strain, but it's not bubblegum, and so I like, you just, a good bubble gum is one of the kindest things you could smoke. And yeah, the Indiana clone is one of the nicest plants I've ever grown, and the bud quality, and it's just so chill that, I have, across that with the 3D. And so a nice bubblegum haze, should be really sweet. And yeah, and that UK cheese times 3D should just be, I mean, that thing is such an amazing skunk plant that just, yeah, there's a reason they've kept these around a long time, and that the UK cheese was pretty much the OG push of Europe for a long time, because I mean it's just spectacular. I had it in Amsterdam before, and it was one of the real standouts. But antenna strike force is what my Acapulco Gold times 3D cross, and like that might even surpass my head games. I mean, I think head games right now is the most powerful haze on the planet. I mean, it really, for the time that it takes, and what you get from it, it just like, it's done in 8-9 weeks, but it just rings your bell, like a 14-week sativa. And it's just that Piff Coast, did such a nice job, creating that New York City Piff. Um, and I just, my 3D G13 haze mail, the fast haze, just complemented it so well, because it just took off like 5 weeks and expanded the terpenes and the potency. That thing I think tests at 29% with 4% CBGA. So it's just the THC that's there just gets amplified. It's nothing like a 29%, like Cookie Cross. It's something that it's just sky high. And oh, I wish I had some of it right now. But, but yeah, it's some really. I'm just super excited. I'm having a great time, just chilling. I'm in a real province town. Riding the jeepneys around, and the people here are just so incredibly wonderful, and like, yeah, it's a whole other world. Very fortunate, and my wife is doing DJ gigs all around here.
Nice.
And so yeah, it's pretty fun, man.
Sounds pretty awesome. Other than the smoke break, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm kind of I started experimenting by going to Florida to visit my parents, and I would just go for a week at a time. And for the most part, I dab so hard that, I'm still kind of high 4 or 5 days, the first 4 or 5 days, I don't really feel any different. And it's just, this is the first time where, yeah, I can actually feel like I have no, like my brain just doesn't stop, and it's sort of like I know why I smoke so much when I take a break like this. And, a lot of it isn't just for me. It's so I'm not just a giant fucking asshole. Like, but the love of the Philippines just kind of counters that. And so I'm kind of, if you're gonna take a break, but yeah, I haven't resorted to drinking or anything like that. I'm just, yeah, I had taken a 12-year break from drinking coffee, and I got back into it right before the trip. So at least I could enjoy that, And so, yeah, they have Filipino Arabicas that are grown here that I got that are just wonderful. And so, it's not the same, but having an espresso machine and being able to make nice coffee, that goes pretty far. But so, yeah.
Enjoy good coffee myself.
Yeah. It was just I didn't take for granted what a powerful stimulant coffee is. People,
Caffeine's huge, yeah.
yeah, and they treated me with meth pretty much when I was younger, for ADHD and that. And so I really don't like too heavy of stimulants, but at the right amount, it's good. And they've got crazy Red Bull flavors here too. It's like orange passion and this grape one that's made from, like, flavors that are local. And yeah, they're just, those guys at Red Bull really know how to make a tasty drink.
Right on.
What have you been up to?
Oh man, I've been swinging the hammer, I guess. I went back to a little bit of carpentry.
Oh,
95 a little bit. Just getting the indoor garden reset after the outdoor season this year, uh, which was a nice year. Everything did well. Got to run, what did all I run out there? Some word cola from Lime Rising Farms, some pre 98 Bubba Kush, Golden Gold, some African Black, some Vietnamese Black,
oh,
and a few other strains uh, out there, which all did nice. It was a good season, you
oh,
know.
that's
So yeah, I'm just getting that kind of wrapped up and put away, and yeah, I packed everything in my grow room to dry. So now I had to clean that shit out to reset. So I'm finally there. Got some seedlings going. Some Hetty OG. Well, let's see here. I got it written down. Some Hetty OG from Mendo Dope. I got some what I'm calling Chillbilly, which is Chilumbium times Jelly Bean.
okay.
I bred when I was working. We did a dedication strain for a past guest EOA, and we were working with the Chilumbium from North Star Genetics. And when I was working that, it hit everything. So I've got a few Chilumbium crosses. So I'm running that to see what I get out of that. And then Bingus's Platinum Asset. I've got a bag seed from, I got a random seed out of one of the buds out of the pre-Bubba 98. I got a one
Yeah.
just like random seed. So I popped that. I'm gonna see what the heck I get out of that. And I've got some cream, which was bred out by another person in chat. So that's what I've got going in the reset right now. And yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. No, I really was happy with the new grow chamber that I made for this last run and to finish these plants. It's just 9 foot by 12 foot, insulated, and with reflective material, and there's 1,000 watt heater on a thermostat and 900 watts of LEDs. And man, that thing stays right at 80 degrees and just, yeah, the plants really reacted nicely to having perfect temperatures their entire life. And I was able to get some real nice pictures with those 5,000K LEDs. They're perfect for photographing. And so, yeah, I can't wait to get back and to get to work on the new stuff. And we can say hello to, there's people that I think someone joined.
Carlton.
It's just me.
Oh, hello, Carlton.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I don't think I've chatted with you via Zoom before, but I've grown some of your strains and love them. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
That's awesome, man. It's nice to hear.
yeah. So, I was curious. You said you had quit coffee for 12 years before your trip.
Yeah, I'm pretty intense about everything, and so like I was, drinking a lot of coffee, and then yeah, it's kind of a crazy story. I had a big German Shepherd who was eating a live rabbit that had caught somehow, and I came up on it, and it thought I was going to take it and bit my hand, and it caused me to get like really sick. And I remember, yeah, I drank a latte and threw it up, and it was just like one of those experiences where I'm just like, oh, I just don't like, my body is rejecting this. And so I just didn't start when I got better. I just thought, oh, I'm just going to try not drinking that for a while and see. And yeah, it really made me realize that, man, like I was really pushing myself with caffeine, like I used to with prescription drugs. And so, I need to. And so for a long time, I didn't think about it. And yeah, then my wife wanted me to recreate the hazelnut Dunkin' Donuts coffee, so I bought another espresso machine and made her but just the smell of it sucked me back in.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So now, I'm using it with moderation, and yeah, it's real nice, especially yeah, not having smoked for a few weeks. It's just that, something natural that just kind of, I like having something like it. So, but yeah, it's good to be able to stop things that you're, dependent on. And
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, but I mean, I don't feel like I'm dependent on like the weed stuff is just for me. That brings out, whereas like whiskey brings out the worst side of me, cannabis
I'm the same way.
just finds the goodness, and like I like the person that I am when I'm, it's not, yeah. So but this is an interesting, I have to be in a country where it's illegal, like
in order to shut yourself off, right? Yeah.
and just, the amount that I consume. When I first visited my wife here 10 years ago, she was able to get me, several ounces of the local stuff. And, it was really nice, but it's just, I dab 90% THC oil, all day long. So it's like trying to even do that with anything is, that's my wife. Yeah, is, it's not even worth it. So, yeah, it's cool, I like to.
And mind you, it was highly illegal here. I have to get it from a friend and ride this bus with all these people with like bags of weed.
And shortly after, the guy
that.
she got it from got busted and spent 7 years, in Filipino prison. So,
Really
yeah.
No,
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch it if someone offered, because you never know if they're just trying to set you up with the cops or something. It's just, no, I'd rather. And it's just nice that someone who consumes about as much as you physically can, that you can you
So you
know,
can take a
go
break
off
and
of
not
it.
be totally
And it's not
it
like,
doesn't, it's not
oh,
life devastating, right? Yeah.
no, it's
No,
just,
I've taken breaks at points too for various reasons, not because I
yeah,
really want to, but needed to. And same thing, it's
right.
like, I can roll through it. I'm definitely glad to smoke and eat again when I can, though. You know?
Yeah. Oh man, that first hit when I get back is just gonna be mind blowing. I got to be careful because I learned when I went to Florida for a week that I dab a lot of I'll make my wax and then I make reclaim and I reprocess that, and the reclaim is pretty much just pure THC. And I found out that if I hit that reclaim, on a virgin brain, you get that full on paranoia and like, I mean, just, and it makes you think about how like Marinol and these like THC medicines that are just pure THC, why they're so scary for people. But yet I can dab some rosin, and just as those other things, they really assist your brain in putting it in, like, once, like I find I dab the fresh stuff, and then like I can supplement that with reclaim once I've already laid the base of the other stuff in my head and body, and then it already but yeah, it'll be nice getting my tolerance back. Be a lot of fun. So yeah, you got that. I can imagine on the plane ride back, I'm just gonna be thinking, oh shit, I'm closer and closer to the day. So yeah, no, it's awesome. I really lucked out with who I married, and um, that I get to come spend a month, in this awesome country. I mean, the people just are beautiful and just as friendly, as people can be. And so, yeah. Uh, who is
Yeah,
this?
absolutely.
This is, yeah. Is that?
Mr. Bingus.
Mr.
Oh,
Bingy.
Hi,
hello.
Maybe I guess.
greetings. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Eagle,
Hi.
Carlton, chat. Enjoy listening to all your stories. Philippines is a beautiful place.
Oh yeah, no, man. If they ever, legalize here, I mean, I think we'd probably come, and I just imagine growing my stuff on the equator.
That would
Her family has yeah, I'm in their home right now, and we're 300 feet from the ocean. I mean, they literally, and so it is just, yeah, paradise. I mean, there's just all these resorts, and like, you just no, it really feels different being out here. But yeah, I mean, I would love for this country to have, for weed to be normalized, because these people are pretty rasta, and I think it would bring out their just natural, it would go hand in hand with this place. And then it would be so cool to walk to these little stores and they all have their own stash that they're selling. And because yeah, it's just,
well, growing
and
on the equator, dude.
yeah,
Come on,
to do sativas on, yeah, I mean,
that would be awesome.
but and I almost think it's going to happen, because strangely everything that I've wanted with weed has almost come true, from where I started at 18, I'm turning 50 in a month. um and so it's just, yeah, it's like, no, if I just wait and wish, then the dreams
Well,
come true.
Well, when cannabis gets in you, man, it kind of takes over, in my opinion. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it leads you in a subconscious way.
Oh yeah.
I'm totally into that, man.
Yeah, I mean, you just sort of follow it almost like a muse. And I think I have, since
Exactly.
I was about 20. It's been an important lady in my life that has, yeah, just brought me. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here today if, I'd probably be married to someone lame and working way too hard and having to go to church on Sunday, and but
I did that once. I did that once.
Sunday.
I did that once. You don't want to go. You don't want to do that.
no, I knew as a kid that, like, that wasn't the life I didn't know what my life was supposed to be like, but I knew it was going to be unconventional. And yeah, I get to live in New Mexico on 40 acres, in a
Nice.
beautiful place. And then Yeah, if only the New Mexico cannabis. I was licensed last year or 2 years ago. And I tried to compete, but then they kind of screwed all the small growers there by allowing them to establish the market, and then they brought in the corporations that they could tax much easier, and let them do 20,000 plants and brought the price of pounds down to $300. And it's just like, no, I can't do that with what I am creating. And it didn't matter the quality. It was just, if you can't sell it for this price, because New Mexico isn't a rich state, and so people don't have, they're going to take the cheaper option, and the stuff that you can get for $50 an ounce is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just, and so it's most cheaper than like lights, but no. Luckily with LEDs, you can grow really efficiently now and so easily that I love those street light LEDs. I got 55 of these 300-watt for my grow, and so now I'm using them for everything. And the plants just, you wouldn't think that single, having really no other light other than that single spectrum. I learned that male plants won't produce pollen under those lights. For my last these seeds that I'm making, I had a male going, and it flowered out and everything, and just not a drop of pollen. And so I thought it was a fluke, and so I ran some more, and it was looking like it was going to happen. And so I threw an incandescent 200-watt bulb in with it, and within 3 days the pollen just started falling out. And so that was like, oh my gosh, this light spectrum.
Sounds like
So
it needs some red or something, huh?
Well, the spectrum,
just
like
better heat.
that little bit, but for everything else, the potency and terpenes under that light, is as good or better than, I used to use high pressure sodium and halides and all that, but they're just such a waste of energy compared to because plants indoors, they just need more light. You're competing with the sun, and so you can go on and on about all the varieties and stuff, but it's the more you give, and those are literally the most efficient light source. That chip that's in those lights I use, like there's no other source on earth that like gives you more light for the energy put in. And so they're fun to use. And but even in my commercial grow, I added 12 incandescents, just to have that little bit of spice in the pot. And those were
Which
was
chip
really
is that
fun.
you're using again? Well, I'm sorry, which was that again?
The lights.
Yeah, the LED.
Yeah, like on eBay, you can find these like Chinese. They're street light replaced. They're meant, to replace street lights, and so usually LEDs, the wattage is like a lie, but these are actually, I mean, they're 50,000 lumens of white light.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Per bulb. So I put 3 of those in my chamber now, and you can put them right. You can't, don't want them as close as like you would think, because there's so much light. The plants, they like to be about 3 foot away from the tops of them. And so
are those like what, 300 watts a piece or something like that?
Yeah, they use about 300 watts, and you get 50,000 lumens of white light, which if you tried to do that with a halide, I mean, it's like, you would need 1,200 watts to get the equivalent amount of actual light, But no, halides are
temperature problems.
But and these are actually a little warmer than those really expensive grow LEDs, because they don't have, they're just made to be outside, so they're not really so they do put off a little heat, but it's on, like right now they help heat my grow room, and so the heater doesn't have to kick on as much, because I now have all my veg plants in the chamber, and then I just put my seeded plants in a small closet, and I really hope they finish nice, because
I'm sure they will.
I'm looking forward to those a whole lot. I mean, I don't know if you've ever grown that Stronana, but I mean, it's just a ridiculous, the terpenes on it are, And
That one,
yeah.
that one I haven't tried yet. I've done the blue laser light, sour gorilla bubble haze, I think.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
one other, I forget the other ones. But they were all like stellar, beautiful, beautiful.
and did you get good flavor out of the blue laser light?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually shared some photos with you on Instagram. Reboot
Oh, cool.
Agriculture is my account on there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
awesome flavor, awesome blueberry, awesome buzz. Yeah, I like it very much, very much, very
yeah.
much like the eye effect at night outside on that, especially.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I really that came from that a New York City blueberry that was like a Manhattan delivery cut that I got from Cloney Soprano. Yeah, that guy has really cool stuff, and it's been fun to be able to get that old stuff. And then because I have that 3D G13, that to me just makes either a nice copy or a plant
breeding
that's better.
flavors.
I
Yeah,
mean, Blue
yeah,
Laser like blows the original clone just out of the water. I mean, it's not even. I mean, the only thing that blueberry had going for it was the extreme terps.
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
anything to write home about, but yeah, the terps would make you happy. It was kind of like for an average smoker, but I like things to be. I want them to be potent and also flavorful, and so there's,
Yeah.
it's just yeah, I'm lucky that to have access to those genetics, and I just want to share what my idea of good weed is with the world, and because it's like that's the best way to like fight back against the madness of the it's just like this stuff, it only promotes goodness in people, and so it's the more I feel like I'm helping by just getting it out there, so at least if people want to use it to just be happier and to relate better with others. That's the whole point.
Also,
So
you're kind of a rarity. There's not a lot of like more sativa leaning breeders, you know. Like it's nice to be able to like go through a breeder's strains and be like, oh, there's several nice like actual sativas here, not blends, not like actual heady sativas.
yeah,
That's like
well, it's
it's
all
rare.
that 3D213. That really, when I discovered that and started just working with I was amazed at how it just really was transparent. I compare it to like a nice guitar preamp that's like transparent in that it just it doesn't color the sound, it just sort of amplifies what's already there. And like um or if it does change it, it changes it in a positive way. And so, but yeah, I mean, that's what I like. I mean, the indicas are fine. Like I really enjoying this blueberry and straw nana, but it just makes me excited to make it more hazy, because that's what I like. Anything no CBD. And my to me, like, I mean, CBD works for some people and they like that, but I think it really clouds things, and like the high and the experience that I'm looking for. I just like, people always talk about like oh, THC doesn't matter, that, and it's like, well, no, it's very important, but it's just that other stuff. It's like if you're smoking something that's 34% testing, but it has 1.2%, CBD, like you're going to be like, oh, this isn't as strong as that 16% Acapulco Gold, because, and it's not yes, the Acapulco Gold is giving your brain full access to the THC. There's nothing in it that's detracting it. But in that 34%, runts cross, it's the THC is almost ruined by the other stuff. That's my opinion, but like yeah, I just
Sativas in general, I prefer. I mean, because it's got that more stimulative, creative high that really puts me in a spot of where cannabis wants me to be.
yeah,
And the indica is good, but it's more of a sedative pain relief, which
right.
again, you know, different strokes for different folks. But
Oh yeah,
G13, I had the original G13. Shit, I can't even remember how long ago it was, but I got busted and they took it from me. And it was fun to play with, but
yeah,
it was very sedative.
right.
At least the one I had. I don't know if it was the original or not, but So I'm a big fan of sativa breeding myself as well.
Yeah.
So good for you.
I think most of the heavy lifting in my 3DG13 comes from the Apollo 13. That was the mother of the 3D, the subcool's third dimension.
Oh, okay.
That's a cross of, yeah, the Apollo 13, Space Queen, and Jack's Cleaner, which is one of the sub strains that was one of the original super heady, like back 20 years ago, that was going around on Overgrow and stuff. And like, I had a bog lifesaver that was a Jack Cleaner pheno that was done in like 47 days, and it was one of the most ripping sativas, because it just came through so hard. And then the G13 side of that cross is kind of a mystery because I've told this story, but it's like a friend of mine got some seeds from Attitude Seed Bank uh, 16 years ago, and he was ordering DJ Short's F13, and he got this pack, and and I was like, oh, I had just met DJ Short in Pasadena like a month prior, and it was like, and he showed me it, and it said G13 times sativa. And I was like, no, these are bogus. There's no G13 in DJ Short's F13. That's a blueberry sativa hybrid. So he ended up, did run some of those, and they were just beautiful plants. And a friend of mine took some of the males because he had this 3D plants. Pardon my, and just made just a cross for the fun of it, and it had given me some of those seeds that turned out to be the backbone of everything I've been doing for the last 15 years. And I brought those to an F4, and now they're at a point where I did do an F5, but it had lots of those trifoliates, and once you start getting that, you're too inbred.
Yep.
But the F4 version of it is very stable, and like it makes the females, almost like clones. They're just really
That's cool.
When I was running my business, I had an opportunity to run 100 head games and 100 blue laser light and a bunch. Like I did all my commercial growing from seed, because it was, and like, which is almost unheard of, but I was producing the seeds, and like and I just, when do you have a chance to run that many seeds? And so the head games clone that I've sent out hundreds of, that was chosen from 50 different females, which, there's 20 of them that I could have chosen. I mean, it's not hard to find one that's probably just as good. I mean, it was almost, so yeah, I'm real happy with, so that's,
All right, well, I think the larger the phenohunt, the broader spectrum that you see of the plant. I've been involved in the 80,000 phenohunt before. I worked for a CBD farm, okay, where they created S1s and seeds for the market. Very profitable business. But I was curious, because you were talking about the lights that you're using. Do you notice that your flowering times are shorter or different than not using the LEDs?
Oh, no, I have, I'm a very strict 11 on, 13 off. I've been doing that pretty much since I met DJ Short, and he was just like, try that. And, it'll just stress out sativas indoors much less and yeah, now I'm a real believer, and that you get done a little fast, but no, it's all, the speed is just really the health. If they're in a happy environment, then they get done. But now the stuff seems to be finishing pretty quick. But as long as it's ripe, I don't care so much about quantity. It's just,
no, I agree, nice. Totally. Totally.
So I haven't seen the difference.
The flowering time, I've noticed that the LED cuts off at least a week off overall flowering time. But what does intrigue me now is the pollination thing. The male not producing pollen under that spectrum now. Yeah. I've wondered quite a few times what if there is a recipe basically for, like, say, more feminine seeds versus
Right.
the 50-50 ratio. Like you say, does a hot, humid night, and now you're throwing spectrum into the
Yeah.
equation. I've
No,
never even really taken that into account. So, can you go a heavy color and maybe sway the 50-50 one way or another? I mean, can
oh,
it
so
play that?
you want to influence gender with the light spectrum, not only
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I'm curious if that, if you can shut it off, can you make it like heavy?
yeah. Oh, I
I
mean, it's
know,
possible.
I do know Dutch Passion had a study they posted probably 10 or 15 years ago on starting seeds, like 50, normal, non-feminized seeds. And they were saying if you could hold 78 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 weeks and keep your NPK ratio at 3:1, then you would get a much higher, I think it was like 75 or 80% female, to male ratio. So that makes me wonder after, I never heard about the male, I never heard of that before either, the male
When you
not dropping. So that does make me wonder if you could further influence that and get closer to 100%.
what I'm like what you're talking about too, also, buddy, is the fact that you're dialing in a strain with spectrum, temperature, basically with environment.
Yeah.
Okay. And messing with that, messing with the dial, let's say like the light spectrum, like what we're talking about, or the heat, does it affect it? Or is the plant just looking for each individual strain is looking for the optimal growing environment for their genome?
Right. Yeah, no, I like who's to say if other plants, other males would be able to like I wouldn't be like this is the way to never have male pollen. It's just with my stuff it happens to react that way, but you'd have to test a lot of things, to say for certain, if all males,
Be interesting to
won't
see
pollinate.
across the wide range. Yeah.
When we were doing the huge pheno hunt, we had two spectrometers and we were measuring molecules. And at the end of it, we picked three, which was very difficult to do because the molecule pattern started to become so tight, right, that they were all basically almost identical
Yeah.
in their in the end product. And so since then, which was a hell of a fucking job, man. It took forever to do that and a lot of time and effort. People don't realize, I don't think, the amount of time and effort it takes. But I started thinking, can you, with a spectrometer, and you try, like you do a run with a certain spectrum of light, and then you check your molecules, see where you're at, and then change that spectrum and see if those molecules change. I
Oh,
would,
wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would just be interested because that now with, of course, the place I worked, they had the money to buy, $100,000 spectrum or spectrometer, which I don't. But how much control can we have? And is it really control? It's basically just providing the optimal environment for the plant
Right.
to give us what it has to offer. I don't know.
You could
It's
you
very
could argue
intriguing.
it's controlling us, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I think it is. Once the
That's
plant gets in you,
So
you're, you know, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things too now. By providing optimal, do we limit what it's actually turning on? What tools are in the case? You know what I mean? Are we breeding it for failure in the future because we gave it all the perfect conditions? We haven't necessarily. It doesn't have a dry season in there that
I
it's
would
gonna.
say I would say we're epigenetically programming it to have a narrower range of tolerance. If we're giving it optimal all the time, it's going to have a narrower range, right? Like I know breeders that have done breeding programs like in the shade in the woods to get a plant that would flower and work in limited sunlight. They were successful in doing that, but it was 10 years to do that. So it's like it's 10 generations of putting that same environment code in, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it's programmable, but the spectrum thing intrigues me because the Dan Kittredge of the Bionutrient Food Association, those guys are developing a spectral analyzer that you can use on your phone, so you can read fruit and produce in a store and see if it's actually nutritionally balanced or not, or whether it's deficient. And that's coming out soon. They're developing that. They're actually developing the database for it right now.
That's very interesting.
I'm not too worried about, I mean, the plant's going to exist in nature. And so there's always going to be wild stuff. And I'm not too interested in growing things that haven't been worked, because I like growing indoors. And I think anything after 9 weeks, is just, if you're doing that inside, it's kind of like, I don't know, too much. Like, so much can go wrong in a plant that has to live 3 months flowering versus it getting done and being healthy. And yeah, there's always going to be a need for indoor plants that are super efficient, that have been designed to grow under lights. And I just think it's cool. It's such a easy plant to grow. Like last summer, we had no rain the entire summer. And, even with watering, I wasn't even able to get tomatoes because it was just so dry that they could sense that, even being on a dripper outside, but yet my weed plants all did great. I had one that I had this, my septic goes and it makes this little pond like away from my house. And so I had dug a little hole next to it and put a blue laser light like right in there, and it just took off because it was feeding off the septic water and just, grew big and beautiful. And it just amazed me that even under these conditions, these plants that were bred indoors for generations, I put them outside one time, and they outperform everything that's natural, living there. So I don't, we can't mess up the plant,
No.
corporations and things like that can,
Well,
but like,
we can't mimic that environment as much as we like to, right? Like we can't do real sunlight. Like,
Well, that's why I say
another animal.
if you're at the equator, I mean, that's really the optimal light that Earth can provide for
oh yeah,
for the plant. And that would excite me really, to be able to grow in that environment, because now you're in optimal conditions by nature. And then it's just a matter of, crossing things and putting things together that you think might work. And again, we think, but we're really prodded, I think, by the plant. Once you get it in you, man, it takes over a lot of your thought process, I think. And it wants to steer you for its optimal effect on the planet, on humanity, and whatever it's designed for. I think it's designed for humans myself, but it's been here ever since humanity has been here. It's been a companion plant. So it just makes me think that
I mean, it's been a part of our evolution. I mean, it really,
totally.
I'm sure it's tamed the minds of people, and like advanced people like myself, it's for us to have to deal with, the dummies that are out there. It calms the mind, because and that's really, you'd hear about like samurais and stuff that, people who have to be dormant, they have to just stay chill until it's time for them to act. And, and they just, they would smoke the entire time, because it was just, it's there. It keeps their brain at a good state, then they can easily get back into what they need to do when they're needed. But in their time they're not needed, it sort of, can keep them happy. And so that's how I see it for myself and the people that really, are moved by this. And,
Right on, man. No, balance. I think the plant is here to keep humanity balanced. There's a lot of things going on in today's world where people need to just sit down and smoke a fucking joint.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's, can you imagine two politicians arguing if they were smoking a doobie? I don't know.
Oh, it should be necessary. Before we decide invade countries, like maybe, smoke it.
Hey, what kind of weed you guys got? Well, we got our kind. Let's get together. Let's have a smoke out and see what we can come together with something here. But dude,
music and weed, are the great the language that everyone can speak. And that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that this tolerance break you're taking there. I think it's going to offer you a nice new insight on what you have at home. You know what I mean? You get that fresh evaluation of everything you've done.
Good point.
I'm gonna feel like 18. Yeah.
Well,
No,
you're giving cannabis a clean slate to rework things.
yeah, and who, it might be different too. What, like,
could be.
just I could feel, different after I get back. But
It's going to be interesting, I would say, because you're quite the creative individual. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. I imagine the Philippines must be beautiful and a wonderful place to hang out.
Yeah, especially like my father-in-law is a contractor, and so they literally built a second floor to their house for us to stay in, and it's like a hotel, with just I'm so spoiled here, like people waiting on. They're just it's my wife is working so much harder than when she's at home. No, it's really nice, and my family here is just incredible. And yeah, I mean, just to go down the street, and have you ever seen a jeepney? They're like like a long truck that instead of on the bed of the truck, there are two benches on each side, and it's covered, and the people, I'm 6'1", and so I'm bigger than everyone here by a little bit, and so my wife is 4'9", so it's like so nothing is made here for someone my size, but it's just such a trip. People are sitting on top of these things and hanging off the side, and there's something nice about the lack of rules. People just do what they have to do to survive and get places, and yeah, it's just I'm glad she lives in such a beautiful place. It's a town called Iloilo, Iloilo. It's about an hour south of Manila by plane. And so it just really, it's known for having the best seafood on earth. Like last week, we went to this restaurant right on the dock. I mean, literally where the fishermen come in. I had some blue marlin the fish in Florida are tasteless compared to the fish. I mean, it was just religious experience, going and the shit that my wife and their family can eat. Like, she loves balat, those chicken eggs with the live chicken in it. Everybody loves that here. I mean, it's like the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. But like,
I just ask, have you tried it?
Hell no. I'm from the Midwest, and so I mean, I can eat most, the
very
chicken.
Unconventional for Midwest.
Well, I really respect her palate, because, the people here, they don't have as much money. So you eat rice, and then whatever your meat is, your protein, the more flavorful it is, the more it will, go on your plate. You'll have more. And so her palate, she can eat, dried squid and all the stuff that smells like death, and like, it's just, no, I really respect it, because when you come from the Midwest, you're just you really have a very narrow view of it. But no, I love they have these little they're like a cross between a lemon and a lime. They're called calaman C, and you mix that with the soy sauce, and it's just this, just that on rice is just fabulous. And they've been steaming me bangus, which is a fish that's like catfish, because I ate a lot of catfish growing up, and so there are things that, no, it's lucky that I at least like fish. I can't really take advantage of the seafood that they have, because I've just, if I lived here, over time I would get used to the smells more, and I think I would be more drawn to trying it. Like, they have this fish soup that just, it's just like concentrated fish flavor, and I can only eat a few, spoonfuls, and it's wonderful, but it just overwhelms you. But her dad grew up eating that stuff, and so he just finishes bowl after bowl, and is, it's kind of like my dabbing, tolerance. That's how they are with flavors and things like that, where it's just and no, it's cool. But yeah, some of it is like, we were in the mall here is like how the malls were in the 80s. I mean, they're just unpacked from the time they open to the time they close. And so it's really fun to go there and just see like all the people and stuff. And We stopped at this little kiosk, so my wife could get some, there was a lady selling chicken skins, and pork, just the skin, you know. Just like, all right, let's get some chicken skin.
That's the best part, man.
Yeah. No, it really, no, it's really cool to, it's a long flight though. It was, I think, 15 hours from San Francisco to Manila. And I can't sleep on planes, but I find if you just pop sleeping pills every couple hours, you get pretty high if you can't, go to sleep. And so you can just watch movies and just chill. But yeah, no, it's cool. Wow.
And yeah, you had my attention on the chicken skin. That's
Yeah.
literally my favorite. No matter when I cook a chicken, it's cooked to where like that skin is
Oh.
like pork rind, like, and that's
And I grew up, my dad was really into cooking, steak and chicken on the grill, but he was firmly against any tomato based, sauces on anything. And so we would make this tangy chicken sauce with butter and vinegar and lemon juice. And then I came here and like you can walk down the street and just get a skewer, of grilled chicken and there's no barbecue stuff. It's just super tangy. And yeah, it's the food is pretty incredible. Like there's plenty as a picky American, like, that you can eat. Um, and so no, I recommend anyone visiting, but it's a lot easier to be here with, someone from here because like, I don't want to seem like I'm just here trying to find young women, like a lot of older American guys, because man, they love Americans and like they don't care. I have 17 years on my wife and like we've been together 11 years. And it's just no, they're just such, I don't like to knock American women or anything because they're wonderful, but it's just, yeah, it's just nice. I never thought of myself as ever getting married until I met my wife online in some chat room in the middle of the night, and then we just hit it off and been happily married 9 years, so it's
That's
just
awesome, man.
really, and she just, yeah, makes me such a better person. Or just like weed brings out, the goodness and like, we don't have children. We just kind of help each other, with our interests. And that's like, no, I'm very fortunate in that regard. So, yeah.
It's awesome, man. I mean, a lot of American men are probably pretty jealous right at the moment. there's what we're talking about, I guess, basically is cultural differences. And
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean, I've been here all my whole life. I went to South America about 3 years ago to get stem cells, and I got a glimpse of their lifestyle. And I really enjoyed it much better
Right.
there in South America than I do here in North America. So I can only imagine the Philippines. I mean, with the different culture there, I think a lot of cultures are a lot more in balance, I think would be the best way to say it, than
Yeah.
the culture here in the United States is so in separation.
Right.
Far left, far right, whatever, get down, stand up,
It's
sit
all
down,
just
fight,
driven by
fight, fight.
money. And here, people, they work very hard for low wages, but they're so close to their families. The kids don't, generally move far away because you have all your connections where you're from. I mean, when I go around here with my wife, it's happened every day. Like a childhood classmate or something comes out and is so excited to see her and and it's just, yeah, really. And they love Americans and that's why there's so many in America, because like my wife started learning English when she was a kid and like, could speak very fluently, when we first met. And so there's not that. I'd love to learn Ilongo, the regional dialect here. So because I can't really talk to her dad. I mean, we have limited communications, but her mom works for the government and so speaks very well and is only 6 years older than me. So it's like she's just slightly older, Gen X. like, like, yeah, so that's kind of neat. But yeah, I mean, very cool. But yeah, just that they're so into being like Americans. When you come here, you feel like you're a movie star. Because I mean, I just walk down the street and smile and say hello to that, and like they really appreciate just the little interactions. And you're like, why can't it be like this where I come from? But and like you were saying in South America, no, I've always sort of, I grew up in Peoria, Illinois, which is like a very white, place to be. And so, and not that I don't love white people, but it seemed like as soon as I turned 18 and moved to Chicago, I was just always more comfortable being like the white guy amongst, other nationalities and cultures. And then in New Mexico, I'm surrounded by Native Americans. And so when I go shopping, I'm the only white guy in the Walmart in a Navajo town, and it's just, I mean, it's so nice to have that privilege that you can be the only person and still feel, completely comfortable and accepted. And here it's like that too, it's very, too many crazy white people can get a little scary, but like, yeah, when you're just coexisting, with another culture, you just feel at home and like you're a part of something, being a visitor, and if you can be
I think those smaller countries have some sense of community still, and here we have like fractalized tribes or something like that. Right?
Something.
Yeah. Oh.
Something.
Yeah, they have a crazy government here, but you're not going to be able to divide the people like with social media like we can so easily. Well, in America, politics is like sport. Yeah, everyone sees stuff as sports. They don't know anything about either side. They just identify, and fight to the death, for their side, which is just
and try to one up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up the son of a 30-year, Illinois state representative. And so like, I know about, I had every opportunity, like, like people, it's like, I could be very evil right now. But I went, I went the other way and like, but yeah, no, I was never comfortable when I was working in conventional jobs and stuff when I was younger. It never seemed like I was supposed to be there. It's like could do the work, but it's like no, I would be downtown Chicago just dreaming of no, I want to live in a place where I can just grow as much as I need. I don't want to spend $480 for an ounce of decent weed, in 1999,
Well, I grind away at a job I hate in a place I hate. Yeah.
I mean,
it feels wrong, doesn't it?
I mean, I made, I think, $80,000, the most I've ever made in it. And it's like, I was broker than I am now, than I am now, and it's just like, how is that possible when you're working 60 hours a week, that you really don't even like what a scam that is. And so, no.
Perfect description. It's a scam. It is. Until I was retired and started growing weed, I didn't feel, I'm so much more in balance now than when I had to work doing something I really didn't enjoy to make money to live.
Oh, yeah.
And then you deal with people in America that are, dude, like you said, there's so much separation here, so many different beliefs. And it's like, God, you want to just keep quiet.
We're all Americans, and that should bind us and, should be the thing that causes us to support one another. But and it's so cutthroat.
Part of that, I was gonna say, part of that equation is the cutthroat, right? Like the fact that people are struggling so hard leaves them in an angry state to start with. Now you give me something to fight with somebody about, give me a drink, which is all I got I can turn to, right? Next thing you know, what do you got? A fire of people, right? Like
No, I mean, the greatest thing my dad ever said to me when I was young, because, he was only, he's been preoccupied his whole life with making money and been very successful at that. But he told me, he's just like, if that is your only goal, you will never find happiness. And so, even though we're very different, he looks at my life and how happy and healthy that I am. And it's like, yeah, sometimes I gotta be bum some cash from him if I need to do a project, but it's like he doesn't care about that. It's just the value of living a good life versus like, yeah, being sick and rich is yeah, that. And so no, it's
Well said.
There's a lot of truth to that right there. And I've struggled with money my whole life, to be honest with you. Just how how much it means to most people, because it doesn't necessarily mean that much to me. And I've had times in my life where I've been good. And them fucking times that, like you're saying, have just but more problems, more money. It just came and went just as fast as I earned it, and it doesn't seem like I was anywhere happy,
right.
not at all. And I just think that money in general can be, but if you're chasing what you love, then you find out that money is more or less, it'll come naturally. It just kind of comes with, you know what I mean? And then you can enjoy it more. But it took me a long time to find out that money is a necessary tool. And I don't, you have to
Right.
have a relationship with it, like it or not. But I find that the more I chase the things that I'm passionate about, the more comes with that, and it
Oh
just
yeah.
kind of makes things easier. You know,
Almost like you got to have faith in yourself or something.
Oh yeah.
I, I think also cannabis kind of makes you prone to be in service to others. And when you're doing that and unconsciously, the vibration of the whole planet starts to flow with you. And the plant itself, if you're in, company with it, if it's in you, all right, it's going to enhance that. And if you take the plant and you try to charge, do a bunch of weight, make a bunch of money, right? And just, I mean, which I did that. And I ended up in jail.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't end well if your intentions are to take. And in America, it's that way. I mean, it's like you're learning how to stay separated, how to take what I can, and right. But since I've retired and I've just surrendered to the fact that I'm captured by cannabis, I've never had a problem. I mean, the money comes, I don't focus on it.
Yeah.
It comes and things happen in such a more balanced way. And dude, that's why I'm just hopeful that one day we're lowering the scheduling of cannabis in America. I'm just hoping that one day that I will live to
Decriminalized.
see two politicians smoking weed together on TV discussing it. I mean, I think that would just be so cool.
that
Well,
would
that's
be a fun debate to watch right there.
that's why, antenna, is called antenna because, almost like that pluribus show, I feel like, cannabis connects, every living thing, like an antenna, it receives and transmits energy.
Yeah.
And yeah, now lately, if you want me to go off on a crazier tangent on this, like, I'm really because when I dream, it's because of what I consume. Like I've always been very interested in dreaming and that because before I had cannabis, I would have just out of body experiences. And like as a kid, it was very, sleeping and all that was very stressful because my waking life and dreaming life just there seemed to be no different, they were the same. And so lots would kind of creep in from the other. And and lately I've been thinking about because I cut a path. I have 40 acres. And so with my trim mower, I cut a walking path around, which is about a mile. And so a year ago, I started, doing, 4 or 5 miles a day. And it, improved my life in every way. And it would just, I would just start thinking about things and thinking about my dreams, because I kept on having these dreams that, like, where I would be in a city with someone that I knew, but it didn't seem like it was, reality. But it's almost like maybe cannabis, okay, in a nutshell, perhaps THC allows us to connect with ourselves in parallel universes. Like, because it's like, think about it, the Fab K and other, if there's infinite universes, there's other Fab Ks, smoking head games, and like maybe if we both smoke the same shit at the same time, I'm looking through their eyes in their dreams. And because I'm seeing I know that's real, this is the stuff I like to daydream about, and just, it's not like, oh, I believe this is, but it's like, wow, it's like, who knows, maybe that is dreams are, a look into, just ourselves in other places, and sometimes we do the same thing, and this happens to tune us in. And I just like the thought of that it's like what I'm doing now, maybe there's other versions of me doing the same thing, and like, what if we can connect and like be even more powerful? Like,
that's it. What you're talking about is what drove me to write the book that I wrote about a year ago, called The Sovereignty of Cannabis, the Green Soul.
Okay.
All right. When cannabis gets in you and brings you into balance, the energy chakra vortexes get in balance, and we become the multidimensional instrument that we are made to be.
All right. That wasn't strange to you, that what I just said?
Dude,
cool.
It was like it was like a chapter in my book.
Okay. No, it's like
you so I'm sorry I had to, it's just like,
oh no, I thought I was just gonna get laughed at, so that's why I was, but no, I apparently that yeah, I mean,
no, that's, dude, right on. I'm so happy to have met you.
We're tuned to the same frequency.
Yeah, I got to go buy your genetics now.
oh. If you want, I'll send you some just when I get back to the US.
Maybe we can do some trades. That'd be cool.
No, I mean, I like when people, just my head games and the blue laser light, I've been, pushing them for the past few years, just because they're just so extraordinary, and like they're really like, they represent antenna and what I'm trying to do so well. But yeah, this upcoming Acapulco Gold 3D cross that I'm making, and I'm just, that could even top it, because like Acapulco Gold, like every time I've had it, I've been just so amazed, at the headiness of it, and and I can't wait to see what my 3D does to it, if it can actually improve upon it. And
I just got a chill, so I'm thinking it will.
And it was so crazy. Another thing along those lights is, if you look at my recent, from a few months ago, I took these cuttings, and people were, kind of saying I was full of shit, because I took cuttings from the same mother plant, and some of them I immediately flowered them after rooting, and some of them I gave 2 weeks of veg. And the ones that I immediately flowered, they made these like golf ball size nugs, on this Acapulco Gold. That, I mean, they looked like like a Gorilla Glue or something. It was just.
I remember seeing those actually.
Yeah, and I was like, really, I have no reason to lie, but I didn't almost want to post them, because it looked like, oh, this guy just messed up, and it was just like, no, it was from the same mom, and it was just, these lights are crazy, and how they, just the distance and the whatever, they decided, because they hadn't rooted that much, that they were going to put all their energy into producing buds. And you always hear about, oh, you can start an NL5 haze, as a seedling almost, and right into flower. And I had really never tried that, but yeah, it was really, I haven't even tried that stuff is all curing. And so it'll be interesting to try when I get home. And yeah, I'll have a lot of nice stuff to get my tolerance back, and maybe I'll bring out the rosin press and see how it does. But I love rosin, but that stuff, it's so heady. I mean, it's almost like too intense, to consume at the rate that I consume. Whereas the ethanol wax is really my all-time favorite, way of making a concentrate, and it just sort of makes a super version of the plant, of whatever plant it's like having a very clean version of the flower. And that's yeah, I know not everyone likes solvents and that, but yeah, if you have the right equipment. That was the cool thing about having the failed business, is I still have all the equipment, so now I can do stuff for myself.
Redirect to new chores. Yeah.
But yeah, I got a giant press with big plates and that. Oh yeah, I mean, you press something that's so tasty and such a night to turn someone on to concentrates. I mean, that's really the juice of the orange. And so there's nothing like a fresh press rosin, flavor wise, like that blue laser light rosin. There's these guys in Maine that have been growing that commercially. And that guy told me that his concentrate maker has never, had anything that washed, as heavily as that blue laser light. And that is so exciting when those people grow that commercially. And I can, I mean, I love to see anyone that's grown it, but like, if you're really investing, you're really putting money into having a cannabis business in the US. And so if something is worth your time, I I get really excited about that and try to be supportive of anyone doing that, because it's, such a compliment.
It's a hell of a statement. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I used to dream, remember when you started and you're looking at, just you look at seed, the early pages that sold the seed sellers, and you're just dreaming of the different crosses and just imagining having stuff, like in there, and now I can go on Seed Finder and things like that, and see my strains, and it's just cool to be part of the history, and seen
Very
as somewhat
gratifying.
yeah.
Very gratifying. I think back, and not that I'm a big breeder. I got in it and worked, and I understand it completely. But it still always gives me something new to learn. And what little recognition I have is I'm very appreciative. I never imagined that actually I'd be sitting on a panel like this.
Oh yeah.
Having this type of a discussion, right? I mean, to me, it's so gratifying. I mean, and I really do owe it all to cannabis. It's not, I mean, I had very little to do with it if I'm honest about it. If I want to take the human approach, say, yeah, well, I thought this and this, but no, I think a lot of the things that I think to do as far as crosses is coming from the plant more so than me. I'll be staring, dude, you've stared at your garden, all of a sudden time disappears and a few hours go by and you're like, oh, fuck. So to me, that feeling, that interdimensional connection is what cannabis is all about for humanity, to bring us into balance. Because we're just in this duality. I mean, think about it. It makes so much sense to me now that I've given the time to allow the plant to educate me, to get in me and show me, look, dude, let me show you. It's almost like it's screaming at us, but it's in a different language.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying, and I connected with you on Instagram, so I'll be watching the two buds I saw look pretty fucking good. So great job. Keep up the good work. I can just tell, man, you're headed in the right direction as far as that goes.
I mean, it doesn't feel like work. It's what when you have, when you need, I was diagnosed as bipolar and all that shit when I was younger, and they tried every drug, and they were just amazed at my tolerance for high levels of any, and so, and I told them from the beginning that, I just need the right cannabis and just an endless supply, and so luckily, my parents, they believe me, they don't. And so, it was just, it hasn't been a battle. And as soon as I was put in a position where I could do that, it's like I instantly got better, and just was able to live a stable life. And then, it took me about 8 years of living alone in New Mexico. And then I met my wife, and now, I'm capable of being a good husband, and taking advantage of, or, just actually having a great relationship and all of those things. And, it's just not going to do something fucking crazy. And like, it's just, that's scary when, you're not in total control of, just because things affect you so much. And so, yeah, it's just, and right now it's so, that whole descheduling really, it just kind of pissed me off, because it's being done, for, they might try to turn this all into medical, and say, oh no, you can't grow Tylenol at home, you can't make Tylenol with codeine at home. Why should you be able to? If this is a real medicine, then we should be in control of it. And it's like, and I hate how people don't understand, like, this idea that high THC is bad. It just, that drives me so crazy, because it's like, no, it's just, yeah, you really, if you need high THC concentrates, to me are the answer, because they're the cleanest way. I mean, prior to making wax for 20 some years, I mean, I just smoked bongs from the time I got up in the morning, and it was like I sounded like I worked in a coal mine. And so it's like, and then once I got into dabbing, it was like, oh my God, you can get where you want to be every time, all day long, and it's like, and that, I rarely, I'll test flower, but it's, yeah, I find like concentrates to really be the medicine, that allows you to fully tune in your body and mind, and without that green stuff, that really isn't necessary, for this equation. And it's just, I mean, maybe not everybody needs the level that I do. And, I'm not knocking flower, but like, it's just for a lot of people, I think they could actually use this in play for serious mental illnesses, if they knew how to properly medicate and had access to the right things. And so I just wish I was in a better position to educate, the powers that be on how this stuff actually works. And yeah.
Hopefully we come to that point. And I agree that like dabs is a good way for people that are coming off of heavy pharmaceutical drugs. That that's the only way they can get that high, the same type of high that they would have gotten from them, is
Well, like,
through a large delivery system like dabs like that. And then there's eye pressures and stuff like that, high THC isolates like that help for, there's that's the beauty of cannabis, is there's an angle for almost every ailment,
but
basically.
people just don't fundamentally understand what getting high is. To me, like, yeah, I get moderately high dabbing what I do, but it's really, it plateaus, and then it becomes much cleaner. And you realize that getting high isn't the point of this medicine. You're getting high because your tolerance is lacking, is really what most people, like, that experience of getting high is because it's their body readjusting to receiving this medicine. But if your body is already filled, then it starts doing really magical things and starts working as the, if you're just chasing, a buzz and those things, then yeah, that's a totally different animal. But actually the high THC is a much more sober, sort of experience, where that tune. And so that's, what I chase is not just being buzzed out of my mind. It's just almost the opposite. It's like, I want no tolerance. I want to just take this medicine and have the other stuff that it does. And just the high that most people feel is like more of a side effect, to not having enough medicine, or just that they just haven't smoked as often. And then with flour, you have all this other material aside from the THC, that it kind of keeps you from getting to that point because you're ingesting all that stuff together. And so it's almost impossible to get enough, without having to puff all this other green stuff. And so, yeah, it's like, I just see that whole thing very differently than I used to.
You should write a book, sir. You should write a book about that subject. I'm telling you straight up. You should write a book about it. Because that takes it to a different level right there.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, but I've found that with edibles, I'm able to do that same thing.
Right.
It's a different delivery system, but
they're just so hard to, the same edible at a different time of day. The stomach is just, I don't like that intermediate. You
do have to pair it the same way to get the same effect. Yeah, like I'll take an edible with a cup of coffee or with a small, snack or something like that to help balance it. But I know exactly what you're talking about, but from a different.
I wonder with him saying that he has such a high tolerance to other things that that the reason why cannabis works as well as you're bypassing the liver into a delivery system. You're taking it in through the lungs and bypassing the liver to where other pills, edibles, stuff like that has to pass through the liver, and maybe you have an overactive or some people that don't, get an effect off edibles have extra enzymes in their liver that prevents them to actually. So maybe that's why you prefer the dabs or the smoking method. It works better.
People don't realize dabbing is sort of like it's sublingual too. You're getting the vapor, but you're also getting actual oil and stuff in your mouth. That's being taken in. And when you take monster dabs, I found that happens, and I know that's adding to the overall effect is that actually having it just dissolve in your mouth, the stuff that doesn't
also in your lungs, right?
Yeah so that's, but no, and I like, the older you get, the healthier you want to do stuff. And I just like, yeah, I don't miss the bongs anymore, but I'm not as impressive with those as I used to be. But but yeah, I can, when people watch me dab, they're generally like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, that's like, how do you do that? That shouldn't. But no, and that's, I know it's not a contest, but kind of is. But oh, that's. Wow, this has been so cool. Like, usually it's just me and Eagle and me just talking for 4 hours straight like a madman. And so I like having this. That first two that we did, I think, are like 9 hours of me just rambling. I haven't tried to listen to them again because I'm afraid that I'll feel embarrassed or goofy, but yeah, that's.
I'm glad you got a taste of the Weed Nerd World. I believe this is your first one, right?
Yeah, no, I've been watching and see, and I was just like, oh man, it'd be interesting if I came in not having, I'm usually taking big dabs the whole time, and so I do find like it's easier for me to like find words. Like I'm not, just words don't just disappear like they do a lot of times. Like, and so yeah, there's a little bit of a clear-headedness that I'm experiencing right now. It's kind of cute, but I'm also, my brain just like right now, I have a lot of anxiety over just what's happening in the country that, it usually manifests itself as diarrhea. And so and so I kind of wish I could medicate myself just so I could get my brain to stop, worrying about things. And like, I realize how much of that, just keeps me in a state where I can just accept the world. And like, now it's just, I feel a little more freaked out by, but no, overall it's good. But that's just in honesty that
well, anxiety, I think, is their whole ambition. I mean, you really want to put it in a nutshell. So there you go.
Anxiety is how they sell all their products.
It's keeps us out of balance, basically.
Right.
So that's their whole thing. Social system of separation.
Right.
That's how I refer to it. And, it's very hard to stand up. It's hard, dude. And we're made for it. That's the other thing. These human instruments, these bodies, we're dualistic. We got two sides of our brain. We can go way this way, way that way. They know this. They being those the ones that are controlling the TV sets that we're all watching on a virtual level. And so, yeah, dude, cannabis. Here's the thing. Listening to you, I now have to bring my dab rig out of retirement.
Oh.
And I'm going to have to actually make some dabs for myself, because you bring up some very good points. I smoke fucking way too much, basically. And if I could narrow that down at my age, it would probably be a lot healthier.
Yeah.
You know, I can't take the billowing dab hits, though. I just can't do it. It would just, I dropped my knees and coughed.
I bet you'll be able to. It doesn't take, probably that long to where it's just, I mean, the first time I made a dab and then hit it, like I went and laid down, I was a teenager, I mean, I hadn't been that high. So I didn't think it was possible to ever do that again. But after a day, it's normal, you just, you can just do that and get on with your day. And that's again, with this legalization, and I just really get annoyed. I hate when people compare cannabis to alcohol, because it's like oranges. It's alcohol is this dangerous solvent that and just people sort of want to be like, no, it's because then they want to start saying oh, we should give DUIs to people who have consume, and I haven't driven without consuming cannabis in 30 years. So it would be dangerous if I did. And so just the idea, there's no equivalent with alcohol. Even if you're a serious alcoholic, if you have a few drinks, you're dangerous to drive. Whereas the tolerance of cannabis, can be such that, I say before 9 a.m., I consume more THC than probably 99% of the world does their entire life, and the probably, and it's just like that. you can't say that with alcohol. But
it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I would never, I wouldn't, no. And but so it's things like that I want, as we integrate it into society, I just want people to fuck off when it comes to drugs in general, but especially weed. And just I think people I'm very pro-choice. I'm very if you want to change your sex, do these things, it's none of my business. I don't even feel like I have a place to make a moral judgment, or it's it doesn't involve me. It's something that people are serious, but I just, and that's, that comes from weed. That's where, when you smoke, it makes you really want people to be themselves and to be happy and to not hinder anyone from doing that. And it just kind of it's so much easier to live your life without feeling like you need to be judgmental about stuff that is none of your business, it's so yeah, like that.
Live and let live.
Yeah.
Balance. Find balance. I meditate now. I mean, I do things focusing on balance. I recognize that we have these vortexes that have to align, okay, because I can feel it come into alignment on a big hit or deep meditation. I mean, there's all kinds of precursors to get you in that state. But when you're living in an environment that is hell bent on keeping you in one side or the other, it gets to be fucking ridiculous. And so I understand everything you're saying. I think not only myself, I'm pretty sure the whole fucking world, if they think about it, would understand what we're talking about. But do they have the time to think about it?
No, I mean, you kind of have to almost invest your life into it to reach this point. And it's but everybody needs to understand this. But yeah, like you're saying, most people, like anything, if they had the time to learn to play an instrument or do anything, it's most people could, but it's the world kind of forces you into just a frenzied state. And so no, I mean, I moved to New Mexico and own my property, and so it's just can live simply. And yeah, when you're not worried about those things that aren't important, it's way easier to find balance and to be happy and
Sure.
you know,
Very true.
not argue with people.
They put those obstacles there to keep us out of balance, basically.
Yeah, you can't grow if you're trying to survive.
Right. And just not everybody wants to have stinky plants in their house or can, have, I mean, it's right. So you have to make a decision. You can try to live in a city. I mean, I made my first strains in Chicago in a small apartment, and that was very exciting. And I was like, no, I need much more space than this, and this is just the beginning. And
I always need more space, man. Even when I get to the, went from a tent to where I am now, I'm like, dude, I need more space. And then I'm reminded, well, hey, you have a license that you have to stay in these parameters. I'm like, oh, okay. Actually, I better clear a few things out.
I mean,
Get
New
back into
Mexico, you
compliance.
have a dozen plants. Anyone can grow, like with the 2 adults in a household,
Yeah.
and you can have unlimited, veg stuff. And so for me, even without a license now, I mean, if you grow 12 plants properly, you can do pretty well. And yeah, and just being able to hold whatever you want. I still have like 10 pounds from my business of head games and all this. So it's like right now I can just concentrate on breeding, and I don't have to worry about producing, having,
That's
and
very
it's just
important.
like, it's so depressing, when you're having to spend little money you have, like to go and, I haven't had to give to a dealer, my last $200-$400, in a very long time. And that, is just crushing, because, it's like, I'm going to smoke it just as fast. There's no, there's no just saving it for a rainy day. It's just like, you need medicine, you medicate until you don't have it no more, then you worry about it then. And like, yeah, I hated living like that. And so, no,
Forgive
it
me,
was
guys.
really,
I gotta go. I got a dinner engagement. My
oh,
son
okay.
just showed up.
Awesome, man. It was great to meet you.
Great to meet you, Eagle. Thank you as always, brother. And Carlton, you're a great teacher, buddy. Just so you know, thanks for that video you sent me in chat room.
Cheers,
Good to
Bingus.
see you, man.
Thanks,
Take
Bingus.
care.
Vegas, have a good night.
Have a good night, man.
Great meal. Yeah, I think we're all on our way out. We're hitting
All
that
right.
2 hour mark, and I gotta
Oh,
hit the
cool.
treadmill. Yeah, it's another thing. What I've been up to. I've taken up running since the last
Yeah.
time we.
Yeah, no, I see you doing your races and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, yep. And I'm hoping to. I've made it quite far as 25K is the biggest I've been farthest I've made it so far. But I'm hoping to make that marathon mark this year, and I've got work to do. So.
No, that's great, man. Exercise, like, is good. Who would have thought it? Regular exercise.
Very meditative. I tell you what, I get
Oh,
that same feeling as you're talking about walking around the property there. Man, I get
yeah.
the same feeling when I'm running through trail or something like that. Man, I forget all life's problems. I mean, it's so centering of that time in the woods, in a run, walk,
Yeah.
whatever. So I
Well,
appreciate you
cool, man.
coming on. Don't be
Oh,
such a
thank you.
stranger. You and the
Yeah,
wife
I'm
enjoy
sorry.
your trip. When you get back,
Yeah,
pop back
man.
in. Well, it doesn't have
I
to
had a
be that long,
blast
but.
and really enjoyed meeting you too, Carlton. Um,
I enjoyed meeting you as well. Great chatting with you, and hope you pop in again in the future soon.
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Eagle, thank you always for hosting us and facilitating another awesome conversation, man.
Thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
guys.
All right.
With
I'll make
that
that
being
happen.
said, we are out of here. Don't forget to do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. And with that being said, thank you for joining us on this random Tuesday episode. Peace.